Good morning, everybody. I wanted to start today by talking a little bit about our emotional health. We haven't had a chance to do any social lessons together since we haven't been in school, but that doesn't mean that it's not a great time to really continue to be self-aware and to do a lot of self-regulation. That's definitely going to be quite necessary right now. And also to remember that it's something that not just kids need to do, adults need to do it as well. Let me give you a great example. This morning, I woke up really excited about some of the things I wanted to do today, and my emotion, I would say, was happy, which meant that I was in the green zone. I started working on some of the things, and I was trying to load things into my phone and download things, and unfortunately that wasn't working, which led me first to be in the blue zone sad. And then honestly, it put me into the red zone frustrated because I was so excited about what I had wanted to do, but it wouldn't work. Being aware that I'm in the red zone, I needed to make some choices. So I decided to do two types of self-regulation. One was a thought and one was an action. The action that I chose to use was to do some deep belly breaths. Remember that your deep belly breaths come in through your nose and then slow out through your mouth, like you're blowing out that birthday candle, but you're not actually going to let that happen. You're going to just blow that flame down and then it should come right back up. So the other thing that I chose to do was to use a thought. I had to sort of say to myself, you can't change the fact that you can't load these things onto your phone. You can't change the fact that the file is too big. So you're going to have to find something else. Well, luckily I did. So I thought what we would do right now is share a quick story. This is a fantastic story. It is called Norman the Slug with the Silly Shell. Now, we really love to read picture books in our classroom, and we haven't had a chance to read one together in a while, so let's take a look at Norman. Norman the Slug with the Silly Shell. Norman the Slug thought snails were great. Wow, said Norman, look at them. They're amazing. But unfortunately, the snails didn't think Norman was great. Crash! Norman, you silly slug, they cried. You've spoiled our fun. This only works if you've got a shell. Norman felt left out. Sadly, he sulked off into the moonlight. I can imagine that he's definitely in the blue zone right now. If only I had a shell of my own, he sighed, looking at his reflection. And that's when he had an idea. Maybe I could have a shell after all, he thought. I love how this illustration really shows you where that idea might come from. I also like that Norman doesn't get defeated by the fact that he doesn't have a shell. Instead, he takes on the attitude of, maybe I can find one. But finding a shell was not as easy as it seemed. One was too bouncy, one was too noisy, and one was already taken. Norman needed some time to think. Remember, anytime you have a problem, it is important to really spend some time thinking about how you might solve that problem. It's also important to remember that sometimes you're going to have to try different things. Ta-da! A shell. It was perfect. Norman had never been happier. He could join the snails at last. Norman loved being a snail, and the snails loved Norman's silly shell. Now, right now we're about halfway through the text, so I'm starting to think to myself, maybe Norman didn't really find the resolution quite yet, because if I think of the way a fiction text is structured, and I'm only in the middle, I'm not likely to find the resolution yet. I wonder what might happen next. But the fun didn't last for long. Suddenly, there was a loud flapping of wings. Look out! A bird! Cried the snails in a panic. Quick! Slither for your lives or we'll end up as supper. I guess my thinking was correct. But the bird was more interested in Norman's silly shell. It looked delicious. Norman was being carried up, up and away, higher and higher and higher into the sky. What could he do? Norman did the only thing a slug could do. He made slime, and lots of slime. With a slither and a slather, a slip and a slide, Norman was free. I really love how he works so hard to solve his problems. But he was falling faster and faster and faster until... plonk. Norman, Norman, are you okay? Asked all the snails. Wow, said Norman. That was great. I love flying. If only I had wings. I love how he is able to get away from that bird, and then we see him on this clothesline, and we start to think about, what might Norman be thinking about when he says that he wants wings? Remember, illustrations play a really important part in the text. Ta-da! I love his choice of wings. I love it. I also love that Norman encountered many problems, and each time he encountered a problem, he found a different way to resolve it. Even in the end, it's not exactly what you would want to have happen, but he makes the best of that situation and he makes it work. So try to keep that in mind right now as we're thinking about all the things that are happening and all the things that are going on. When your zones are changing, try to think a little bit more like Norman. If you don't have the right thing for a shell, get a donut. If a bird steals your donut and then you decide, would be really cool to have some wings, maybe you find something that'll help you work with that too. Remember, even adults need to do this work, and we all need to do it all the time. Sometimes, like right now, we need to do it even more than we used to. You're doing a great job. Just remember to be self-aware and to use the strategies that we've learned about to self-regulate. And maybe, just maybe, you find a way to be happy, just like Norman. Bye.